If you're already in the middle of this insane carnage in Painkiller, thinking you've mastered the game, you better pay attention. There are hidden details and curiosities that can completely change the way you play. Get ready to discover the 7 things they didn't tell you while you continue to crush demons. Few people realize it, but Painkiller hides one of the most fascinating details of its design. The main characters are not mere warriors, demons, or soul hunters. They are modern representations of the tarot Arcana. And when you notice this, everything changes. Every gesture, speech, and even the design of the scenarios around them take on a new meaning. The protagonist, for example, has very evident traits of the Arcana of the Fool. Someone between light and shadows, without a fixed destiny, but guided by the insanity of faith and revenge. The figure of the main villain resembles the Hierophant, with that blind fanaticism that mixes religion and power. But the game never says this openly, and that's where the charm lies. The developer seems to have hidden these relationships in minute details. Stained glass in churches, symbols on portals, and even the number of enemies in certain arenas directly allude to the numbers of the Arcana. It's the kind of thing that goes unnoticed in a common game, but when you come back and notice, you get chills. I always thought Painkiller was a franchise very linked to pure action. Running, jumping, exploding monsters. But in 2025, this hidden layer adds an almost mystical tone, as if the game asks you to look beyond the shotgun and the particle hell on the screen. And when you do, it rewards you with a dense and dark symbolism. Each arcane character has a role within a cycle, as if the narrative were destined to repeat itself eternally, the fool always restarting his journey. It's subtle, but it creates a sense of tragic destiny that combines very well with the universe of the series. The curious thing is that even the enemies have echoes of this. The Hanged Man, the Judgment, the Death, all can be reinterpreted in this symbolic key. I don't doubt that the developers have used this to create an invisible narrative thread behind the carnage. It's a touch of genius that only the details can deliver. Painkiller seems to scream chaos, but behind the shouting, there is an arcane order drawn with frightening precision. Now, this roguelike mode is one of the most enigmatic things about the new Painkiller. At first glance, it seems like a simple modern variation. Procedurally generated maps, waves of enemies, random progression. But there's a trick. The game remembers you, literally. Every time you die, elements of your playstyle are recorded in the system, and on the next attempt, hell adapts. If you use explosive weapons, you will face enemies more resistant to area damage. If you prefer melee combat, prepare for open arenas and enemies that attack from a distance. It's a roguelike that watches you. This idea of memory makes the matches seem like a personal fight between you and the game itself. He learns, he teases you, and that completely changes the rhythm. Instead of a mechanical repetition, it becomes a psychological duel, almost a conversation, or rather, an interactive exorcism. Personally, this mode made me rethink how roguelike can work within an FPS. The genre usually depends on total chaos, but here there is a sense of continuity. The defeats tell stories, and each victory carries the weight of previous attempts. It's as if the game were writing a biography of your choices. The strangest part is that the AI starts to react in non-logical ways. It repeats patterns that you used before, as if it were mocking you. It's subtle, but it gives that chill of feeling that someone is watching you inside the machine. Painkiller plays with this in an almost metaphysical way. The mode itself ends up being addictive because of this dynamic memory. You enter thinking you're just going to survive the chaos, and you leave with the feeling that you've fought a spiritual duel against hell itself made algorithm. It's brilliant. And if the series' proposal has always been to punish sinners, this time the punishment comes in the form of a mirror. The greatest enemy is the reflection of your own style. Surprising and even frightening. This is one of the most deliciously dark ideas in the game. Painkiller brings the classic weapons, stake gun, double shotgun, painkiller blade, but each of them now carries a secret curse. And discovering them is almost a game apart. For example, using the stake cannon in excess can start to consume part of your life bar without warning. The shotgun, if upgraded too much, starts attracting enemies instead of pushing them away. These are details that appear gradually and the game never officially warns. You need to feel that something is wrong. This gives a layer of delicious paranoia to the gameplay. You start to distrust your own weapons and the feeling is pure Painkiller, brutality and despair side by side. It's as if each weapon had a soul trapped in it, clamoring to be released with each shot. I loved this choice because it transforms trivial mechanics into moral dilemmas. Do you continue to use something cursed just because it's powerful? Or do you give up power to preserve the sanity of your character? It's a very rare tension to see in modern shooters. The coolest thing is that these curses dialogue with that idea of the Arcana. The weapons correspond to mixed sins and virtues, a creativity that ties the whole game together in a discreet but brilliant way. It's as if hell were inside the equipment, not just on the battlefield. The community is already trying to decipher all the curses and the triggers that activate them. Some seem to depend on the player's behavior, others on specific choices in the phases. It's almost a metaphysical puzzle with gunpowder and blood. And in the end, that's what Painkiller does so well. It gives you power, lets you feel invincible, and then charges the price. The curses are the reminder that, in this hell, nothing is given for free. Here is one of the most intelligent details of Painkiller. The biomes change completely when you play in cooperative mode. It's not just a matter of more enemies or increased life. The environment itself reacts to the presence of multiple players as if it were a living organism watching you. If you enter an infernal cathedral alone, the corridors are tight, claustrophobic, full of traps calculated for a single target. But bring a friend and that same space expands, floating platforms appear, bridges that collapse and sink. It's as if hell were saying, "Oh, so you want to play as a team? Let's see how you do like this." The most impressive thing is that this is not random. The biomes analyze how you play together. If one stays in the rear shooting while the other advances, the game creates divided corridors that force you to separate. If you stay close together, enemies appear that explode in area. It's an adaptation that borders on intelligent sadism. Personally, this changes the whole dynamic of the co-op. It's not just you and your partner against the world. It's you two against a hell that learns, adapts, and punishes. It's an invisible third player, only this one is always against you, and that creates moments of tension and surprise that few games manage. There is a specific biome, the Garden of Lamentations, that literally closes around the players as they progress. Walls appear, trees collapse, the ground cracks. It's as if the scenario was trying to separate you from your team, force chaos, and it works. It gives that feeling of cooperative despair that is addictive. What impressed me was realizing that even the bosses change their behavior in the co-op. It's not just more life. They use different tactics, focus on dividing the players, create patterns that require perfect coordination. It's a level of design that I rarely see in modern FFs. In the end, the responsive biomes transform the Coop from a simple numerical advantage into a living chess game. And Painkiller uses this to create one of the most challenging and unique cooperative modes I've ever seen. It's brilliant and cruel at the same time. This is probably the most disturbing secret of the game. Azazel is not just a villain or a presence. He is the hidden narrator of the whole experience. That voice you hear in moments of silence, the whispers between explosions, the enigmatic texts on the walls, it all comes from him. The game never confirms this openly, but if you pay attention, you can tell. The gameplay tips, the warnings about traps, even the death messages when you fail, all have a sarcastic, cruel, almost paternal tone. It's Azazel mocking you, guiding you, manipulating every step of your journey. There are moments when he literally comments on your actions. If you die pathetically, the death message comes loaded with disdain. If you make an absurd sequence of kills, he praises. But with that false tone that makes it clear, you are not in control, he is. It's a disturbing narrative layer that transforms the game into a theater of the absurd. I started to suspect this when I realized that the protagonist's voice of conscience was identical to Azazel's dialogues in the cutscenes. It's subtle, different enough not to be obvious, but too similar to be a coincidence. And when you realize it, you get that chill. You were never fighting against Azazel. You were being narrated by him. This idea of the demon as an omniscient narrator makes perfect sense within the Painkiller universe. If he controls hell, why wouldn't he also control the narrative you live? It's as if each match was a story he tells himself, and you are just the main actor in a cosmic drama already written. The scariest thing is that this changes the reading of the ending. You think you are defeating evil? But what if the whole journey was orchestrated by him from the beginning? What if every choice, every victory, was exactly what Azazel wanted? It's a philosophical twist that the game doesn't deliver on a platter, but leaves suspended in the air. Now, the Painkiller card system seems simple at first glance. You collect cards, equip modifiers, increase damage, speed, resistance. Standard, right? Wrong. Because hidden within this system are secret synergies that transform entire builds in an absurd way, and the game never tells you about them. For example, there are cards that alone are mediocre. But combine three specific ones, say Crimson Fury, Echo of Souls, and Fragmented Blade, and suddenly you unlock a hidden effect that makes your attacks pierce multiple enemies with chained explosions. None of this is described on the cards. You discover it by testing, experimenting, racking your brain. I always thought card systems in FPS were kind of forced, but here they work because they encourage chaotic experimentation. You don't build a deck thinking about synergy. You play, combine, and suddenly realize that your character has become an avatar of destruction that you don't even understand properly. It's kind of alchemical. The fascinating thing is that some synergies make sense thematically. Cards linked to fire connect with cards of pain, creating soul-burning effects. Speed cards combined with death cards generate temporal echoes that duplicate attacks. It's as if the system hid a mystical logic behind the mathematics. There is an entire community already cataloging these synergies on Reddit and in forums, but the game still keeps secrets. Some combinations only work in specific biomes, others depend on rare conditions, like having less than 20% life. It's a system too deep to be ignored as just more cards. Personally, this gives an absurd replay value. Each build seems to hide a secret potential, and discovering these synergies is like unearthing artifacts of forbidden power. You never know if you've found everything, and that keeps the game alive for much longer. And of course, all this connects with the spirit of Painkiller, absolute power with hidden consequences. The cards are not just mechanics, they are pacts, choices that shape your destiny within hell. And when you discover a devastating synergy, it's almost a moment of demonic illumination. And we come to the most well-kept secret, the secret ending of Painkiller 2025. It exists, but it is only unlocked through a sequence of moral choices that the game never makes explicit. And the most crucial of these happens in a moment that most players don't even realize is a choice. During the campaign, you find tortured NPCs, souls trapped between life and death. The game gives you the option to free them, kill them, or ignore them, leave them suffering. It seems trivial, a decision of the moment, but each of these choices is recorded, and in the end, they determine if you have access to the secret path. The twist? Freeing the souls seems like the good choice, but it actually condemns you to the worst ending. Ignoring them, leaving them to suffer eternally, is the path of redemption. It's a brutal moral inversion that only makes sense in the twisted logic of Painkiller. Sometimes mercy is the greatest sin. I didn't see this coming in my first playthrough. I did what I thought was right, freed everyone, and finished the game thinking I had been a hero. Only when I saw other players discussing online did I realize that I had missed half of the story. And when I replicated following the secret path, my mind exploded. The secret ending reveals truths about the protagonist, about Azazel, and about the cyclical nature of hell that completely changed the reading of the game. I won't give spoilers, but it's one of those endings that make you rethink everything. Every dialogue, every scenario, every death. It's dense, philosophical, and dark. The most brilliant thing is that the game doesn't signal these moral choices as important. They seem just flavor, world details. And that's exactly what makes the secret ending so special. It rewards attentive players who stop to think about the implications of their actions, not just the destruction. Painkiller uses this secret ending to prove that it still knows how to surprise. In an era of games that deliver everything on a platter, it hides its greatest narrative treasure behind subtle and morally ambiguous choices. And when you finally discover it, it's like leaving a cave and realizing that hell was much bigger than you imagined.
I just wanna get caught up, it's all crazy, I'm bad. Oh my God, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life, I'm crazy, I'm mad. Do it no cap, only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed, baby I'm bad, baby I'm bad.